Some horror stories begin with a single call in the dead of night, a sound you hope never reaches your ears. Tonight, you'll hear 3 true-style horror stories. Different people, different places, yet all share one chilling truth. Someone or something is watching before you even notice. Keep your lights on and do not pause. Emily had just moved into a downtown apartment. The first night was quiet, peaceful, but just after midnight, her phone rang. The caller ID read, "blocked number." Trembling, she answered. No voice, only heavy breathing, rhythmic, deliberate. Then a whisper.
I see you.
She hung up. A prank? A stalker? She didn't know. The calls escalated nightly. Breathing became closer, distorted, sometimes followed by faint whispers of her name. They knew her routines, her favorite shows, even thoughts she never voiced. Objects in her apartment shifted. Books, cups, personal items, not by anyone she could see. Emily attempted to record audio, video, anything. The footage revealed shadows, subtle movements at the corner of the frame, blurred shapes. Once, she woke to the smell of smoke and her bedroom door slightly ajar, despite locking it herself. Notes appeared on her fridge, written in her handwriting. Don't sleep, watch. The fear followed her to work, the grocery store, even outside. Shadows lingered at a distance, shapes appearing in reflections in windows and mirrors. The calls persisted even after changing her number. Each call, longer than before, closer, as if the presence could step inside her home without being seen. One night, Emily awoke to a voice whispering directly in her ear, "You can't escape me." She tried to move but was paralyzed with fear. Objects shifted, lights flickered, and she could hear her own heartbeat amplified in the room. The presence was aware, intelligent, patient, and persistent. Her friends noticed changes. Emily became withdrawn, avoiding phone calls, skipping work. One evening, she returned home to find her apartment door wide open, lights on, yet no one inside. Every closet, cabinet, and room checked. Nothing, except faint imprints in dust that resembled footprints leading to her bedroom. The block calls continued at random intervals, now accompanied by texts, fragments of sentences, names of childhood pets, places she visited, each message more specific, personal. Emily could no longer sleep with windows open. The air itself seemed heavy, oppressive, thick with an unseen presence. Even when she traveled, renting hotels or staying with friends, the blocked number reached her. The voice whispered through voicemail messages she never opened, yet she could hear it echo in her mind. Shadows appeared on hotel walls, moving independently, waiting in corners. Her pets reacted strangely, hair bristling, growls low and threatening, staring at nothing. Emily set up cameras, night vision, motion detection, but the recordings always showed empty rooms, only faint glimmers, fleeting movements, something that could be brushed off as a shadow, but she knew better. One night she woke to her apartment filled with low, guttural breathing, footsteps pacing her living room in slow rhythm. The fridge door creaked open, cupboards rattled, lights dimmed and flared. A note appeared on the floor. "I am here." She swore she hadn't moved from her bed. Emily left the city, changing her number, her home, even her work. Yet the feeling followed her. Every time she entered a new space, she felt it. The awareness, watching, patient. Even in broad daylight, in crowded streets, shadows seemed to move unnaturally. A fleeting glance, a dark figure at the edge of vision, gone when she turned fully. Months later, Emily returned to visit old friends. At night, her phone rang. Block number. She froze. This time, a recording played. Her own voice, whispering her secrets she'd never spoken aloud. Some horrors begin with a whisper, a single call, and they grow in the shadows, patient and intelligent, waiting for the perfect moment to strike fear into your very life. Jason worked late and often relied on ride-sharing apps to get home. One night, he requested a car. The app confirmed, yet the vehicle that arrived wasn't listed. An old black sedan, unmarked, windows tinted. The driver smiled faintly, eyes cold. As Jason entered, he noticed the mirrors reflected his face differently, distorted. He told himself it was the fatigue, the long hours, the darkness. Yet, as the car moved, the street seemed unfamiliar, even though he recognized the city perfectly. The driver never spoke, but he hummed, low and rhythmic, almost matching Jason's heartbeat. The GPS on his phone malfunctioned. The route shown was impossible. Passing alleys, closed roads, dead ends. Every turn led deeper into deserted areas. Jason reached for his phone to call for help. The signal disappeared. He tried to exit the car at the next stoplight, but the doors locked automatically. Panic set in as the driver's gaze remained fixed, unwavering, studying him. Outside, shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally, flickering under the streetlights. Every passing car was empty. When Jason's reflection caught the driver's eyes, he saw something wrong. Too dark, too hollow, almost not human. A whisper echoed inside the car, though the windows were up. "You shouldn't have called me." Jason spun around. Nothing. The streets were silent. Only the hum of the engine and the growing dread in his chest. Minutes stretched like hours. The driver spoke only once, voice calm, almost soothing. "You can't leave. Not yet." Jason's hands shook, gripping the seat. He tried opening the door, but it resisted. The car moved faster, twisting, turning, as if the roads themselves bent around it. Jason noticed symbols scratched into the dashboard, glowing faintly, impossible to explain. Every stoplight flickered, spelling words in a language he didn't know, but somehow felt threatening. He glimpsed fleeting reflections of other passengers in the rearview mirror, all gone when he looked fully. He remembered the app never logged the ride. No notifications, no records. Friends who checked the app said, "No ride today, Jason." Yet he was inside it, trapped, moving further from the familiar streets. Suddenly the car stopped in a deserted lot. A single street lamp illuminated a figure in the distance, waiting. Jason wanted to flee, but his legs wouldn't move. The driver turned slightly, whispering, "You were meant to see me." The air became thick, as if the shadows themselves breathed. Jason's phone buzzed violently, blocked calls from an unknown number. The figure outside seemed to react, nodding, almost approving. When Jason finally reached the edge of the lot, the figure was gone. The driver smiled faintly, and the city returned to normal. GPS worked, streets familiar, lights functioning, but the memory, the feeling, the awareness of being followed lingered. Even days later, he saw the sedan at night, parked across the street, empty, engine off. But the hum he remembered at night inside his mind never left. Every ride since, Jason double-checked the app. Every unfamiliar vehicle, every tinted window, every silent driver. He remembered the car that shouldn't have existed. Some journeys seem ordinary, but when darkness rides with you, the roads twist and reality bends. Be careful which rides you take. Some drivers never truly leave. Mark moved into a high-rise apartment downtown. The building seemed ordinary. Neighbors polite, hallways clean, elevators functional. Yet, he heard whispers at night, faint and distant, coming from apartments long abandoned. He noticed one particular unit on the 12th floor, apartment 1204. Lights flickered intermittently, though no one was listed as living there. Mail piled up in the box, undisturbed for months. Sometimes, Mark felt someone watching as he passed the hallway. Late one evening, he saw a figure inside 1204, a man, motionless, standing by the window. Mark rubbed his eyes. The man remained, eyes fixed forward. When he blinked, the man vanished, but the air felt colder. Days passed. Elevator doors sometimes stopped randomly, opening to reveal empty hallways, yet the faint sound of footsteps echoed inside. Mark started seeing the man in reflections, in mirrors in the lobby, in the windows across the hall, always the same posture, always silent. Neighbors dismissed his concerns. "No one's there," they said. "That apartment has been empty for years." But Mark noticed signs of occupancy. Faint smoke, cold drafts, moved furniture in the storage rooms, and faint scribbles on old walls that disappeared the next day. One night, Mark entered the elevator with the intent to confront the man. As it ascended, the lights flickered. When the doors opened, 1204 appeared occupied, curtains drawn, faint silhouettes moving, though the apartment had been empty for years. Mark felt compelled to enter. The door was unlocked. Inside, the air was thick, oppressive. Shadows moved in corners, barely visible. He heard a voice, low, almost a breath. "You're here, finally." He turned. The man stood at the far end of the apartment, tall, impossibly still. Mark's pulse raced. The floorboards creaked under his weight, though no one else moved. When Mark tried to back away, he realized the hallway outside had changed. Walls twisted, doors misaligned, hallways endless. Mark's phone had no signal. Calls to friends went unanswered. Every image he took with his camera showed only static or distorted figures. The man seemed aware of his every action, appearing wherever Mark turned. The following nights, Mark tried staying away. Yet, at 3:17 a.m., precisely, he would hear soft knocks on his door, faint footsteps pacing outside his apartment, sometimes whispers, "Why leave when you belong here?" Mark tried moving out. Boxes disappeared, doors wouldn't lock, keys didn't work. The man, somehow, was always inside the building, watching, waiting. Even when the building was empty, the presence remained. Months later, maintenance found signs of life in 1204. Footprints, fresh cigarette ash, lights that had been switched on and off. Cameras showed only Mark entering, never leaving, yet his neighbors insisted they saw the man wandering the hallways. Eventually, Mark stopped fighting. He left a note in the lobby. "If anyone reads this, beware. Some tenants never leave." Even now, new residents report shadows in 1204, soft whispers echoing in hallways, cold drafts in empty rooms, and sometimes someone feels a pair of eyes staring, never blinking, always patient. Some horrors never end. They linger in empty apartments, in reflections, in the corners of your mind. ShadowPulse brings you stories that might be closer than you think. Stay alert, and never ignore what you feel in the dark.